This is going to be a very quick Lunar Cup breakdown. So unlike the previous couple metas, this is strictly type-based with a handful of bans. Shadows are banned, Scrafty is banned, known for being the one fighter type that beats both Psychic and Ghost. Pachirisu for being a regional and very unaffordable, especially since it requires XL. Same thing with Volibee, requires XL, very hard to obtain as well. Stunfisk is once you look into the meta, is one of these Pokemon that will break most of the meta. It beats so many things. Um, as for Alolan Marowak and Whimsicott, I can't really see why they're banned, but I guess Whimsicott because it is one of very few Charmers in the meta. But let's go over, since it's been a very long time since we got to go over how to break down a type-based meta. So, as you can see, I've got lots of type icons on my screen. So the ones on the bottom right here, we're going to just look at how the types interact, because the best way to break down a meta is to look at the types. The best way to look at a matchup is to look at the types. So between all of these Pokemon, we have Bug, Dark, Ghost, Grass, and Electric. Let's look at all the ones that beat other stuff because it deals super effective damage. So the first one would be Bug deals super effective damage to Dark. Dark deals super effective damage to Ghost. Bug deals super effective damage to Grass. How about resistances? There are two resistances here. We have Bug resisting, Ghost resisting Bug, and then we have Grass resisting Electric. So in terms of the types, there's not much of a, how do you put this? Not much of a real type hierarchy in terms of the 5 types that we have here. But by looking at how these interact, we can say that several of these types are not going to be powerful on their own. Electric type is going to be relatively weak. Grass type is going to be relatively weak. And Ghost type is going to be relatively weak because they're not targeting anything in the meta in particular. But as for Bug and Dark types, these have a role. These beat things. If you look into the Pokemon in particular, you'll also be able to tell maybe Dark type recognized for being very bulky. It'll beat maybe Grass or Electric types as well, but that's not what we're worried about. The first look at a meta should always be at its type because that's the core of the Pokemon franchise. So, with this in mind, you should be able to tell that Dark and Bug types will probably dominate the meta. So, when we look at what Dark, Bug, Electric, Ghost, and Grass types are available, we could very easily just say, put it in the BV Poke. We see a lot of Dark types, a lot of dual type Dark types. Same thing with Bug. A lot of them are within the top 20, 30, 40, 50, or they're all over the place. And then just to emphasize exactly how the type interactions play out and how type interactions alone can tell us whether they're useful or not, we can see that Graveler, Magnezone, Alolan Golem and Alolan Graveler are essentially the same thing, but once you get past the top 20, there's not very many electric types anymore. Galvantula is, to be honest, more of a bug type than electric type in terms of its role because of its resistances, but that's not what we're going to worry about. Ghost, on the other hand, is super emphasized, where not even a single Ghost type breaks the top 20. And then when we look at Grass, only one Grass type breaks the top 20, and one breaks the top 30, Tropius being a regional and very unaffordable for most people as well. So this alone can tell us, um, emphasizes the fact that types are more than enough to show us what the meta should shape out to be. If you want to do this the old school way, instead of looking at PV poke, you could kind of essentially go through every single grass, dark, electric, ghost, bug type Pokemon, cross out all of the Pokemon that are either too small to compete, too terrible to compete based on moveset, or have terrible dual typing, stuff like that, stat proc. But, so, I've already written down all of the um, top Pokemon from each type. Um, I've taken the top 20 bug types. I've taken the top 20 dark types. I've taken top 20 electric and grass types. And then for the types that don't have enough, such as grass and ghost, I essentially took the top 3 from each typing. So these are all the Pokemon that will play a role in the meta based on rankings alone, or based on, you know, bulk, moveset, typing, dual typing. All these things play a role in, being part of contributing to why it's high ranked in the first place. So the red dots are essentially the Pokemon I really wanted to focus on. So this is just data that I pulled off of the stream that I did breaking down the meta, but the red dots essentially look at beating things in the bug type category and beating things in dark type category. Because remember, once again, I will say it again, bug and dark types own the meta. There is something worth mentioning that the electric types, Alolan Graveler and Magnezone, actually have quite a bit of play, but because they're strictly anti-bug as a steel and as a rock type. So these are unanticipated anti-bugs that don't necessarily fit the electric type role. But apart from that, when we look at, for example, Crustle, Fortress, Galvantula, all of these bug types should theoretically beat dark type based on typing alone, right? So we don't have, essentially any bug type has a role. Essentially any bug type will be good. You can pick up any bug type and it should be viable in your team. But as for dark type Mandibuzz is going to be the first one to say, yeah, I'm a flying type too. I can beat bug types. I can beat maybe not all of them, but I can put up a fight. I can do well against Fortress, Scavalier, Heracross, Ariados, all of those. Zweilous will be able to, Dragon Breath through a lot of things. We know it as a very oppressive fast move, especially with a charge move like Body Slam. Umbreon being extremely bulky. Obstagoon is worth mentioning here because it beats all of the other dark types. It's a dark type that beats other dark types. So that alone gives it more play, not in the meta, but at least within its role. So for these small reasons, for being able to beat Bug, being able to beat Dark, these Pokemon have a red dot. And when looking at Electric type, Ghost type, and Grass type, Frostlass, we all know that as something with incredible energy presence, charge move presence, being able to flip matchups, maybe even against Mandibuzz, Wireless, Obstagoon, stuff like that. Frostlass will have some play because of that. As for Sableye, Sableye's going to get hard walled by all dark types. Even if you have return, often it's not enough. As for Roserade has a fire type charge move, which is why it's able to flip some matchups against bug type Pokemon, which is why it has play. The exact same reason for being able to beat bug types, we have Chestnut, Smackdown Chestnut. It's something that a lot of people have not picked up or tried out ever in the past, but it's got a lot of potential in the meta. You just have to be careful of the double weakness to flying that fighting, and grass imposes. Alolan Graveler, Magnezone, I mentioned those earlier for being anti-bug type Pokemon. So this is the center of the meta. So if you're going to pick and build your team, this is a good place to start. Crustle is something that I've looked very deeply into on stream. Fury Cutter, whether you're running Fury Cutter or you're running Smackdown, they're both incredibly powerful. Whether that's beating dark types or other bug types, the only things that truly beat Crustle in the meta is Jungle Cup. The only thing that truly beat Crustle in Lunar Cup. There we go. The only thing that truly beat Crustle in the meta is stuff that isn't bug or isn't dark. You'll see a lot of electric types, a lot of ground types, a lot of grass types, but no bugs, no darks. Poniard hardly really counts. That's a steel type. But yeah, that's something worth mentioning. And Mandibuzz goes without saying as an anti-bug type on its own through its flying typing. That's about it.